3,000 meters down, no sunlight has reached this depth in 2,000 meters. No human breathing equipment was ever designed to survive here, and yet something was already living here, thriving before we arrived with our cameras and our panic. It didn't know we were coming, it was already home. To understand what that means, you need to feel the actual distance first. From the surface of the ocean to the deepest point we're talking about is 10,000 feet. That's roughly the height of a commercial airplane cruising altitude, except if you fell from that height into the ocean, you wouldn't hit water for 7 more airplane climbs straight down. You'd pass through the twilight zone where the last fish with eyes that work drift in permanent dusk. You'd pass through the midnight zone where eyes become a liability, where every photon is a conversation between bioluminescent creatures speaking in light nobody else is supposed to read. And you'd keep going, past the crushing darkness, past the point where the pressure in your chest, not metaphorical, actual pressure, would register as a tightness so specific, so strangling quiet, that you'd understand for the first time what it means to be in a room where you were not invited, and to stay anyway while the room fell completely silent around you. That's where this creature lives, not visits, lives. In 2026, an unmanned submersible carrying cameras we designed specifically to see in total black descended past every pressure threshold we thought belonged to exploration. The images that came back didn't show us discovery. They showed us something stranger, disclosure. The submersible's lights cut through water so dense it barely qualifies as liquid water that has spent its entire existence holding depth like a secret, and there at the edge of the frame where the darkness reasserted itself was motion, not a whole creature, motion, an edge, something that moved like it had always moved exactly like this and was confused why anything was watching. The team brought the submersible back up. They had footage. They didn't yet have a name. What they did have was proof of something we'd theorized but never truly accepted. There are entire civilizations of life in the deep ocean that have no relationship to the surface world whatsoever. This creature wasn't a deep-sea version of something we know. It wasn't an adaptation of a shallow water ancestor. It was something that had spent conservatively millions of years perfecting a life in total darkness, a life with its own light vocabulary, its own hunting language, its own social world, and we were the first intrusion into that world, the first witnesses, the first believers that this specific form of life even existed, the creature itself, what we can see of it. Because the abyss doesn't owe us completeness, registers as a ribbon of near-transparent flesh with photophores distributed along what might be its body in patterns we don't yet understand. When illuminated by the submersible, it doesn't scatter light, it absorbs it. Then on its own schedule, not ours, it emits a pulse, bioluminescent, a color we're still debating because the wavelength falls at the edge of what our cameras can even register. Blue-green, maybe deeper, maybe something our color perception doesn't have a word for yet. The critical moment came when the submersible's floodlights shut down, standard protocol, before the creature could become stressed by exposure. In the black that followed, absolute and total, there was nothing. No movement, no shape, no evidence that anything lived in that space at all. Then 3 seconds of held silence, 4 seconds, the kind of silence that presses back, and then the creature pulsed. Its own light, its own communication. The bioluminescence arrived not as a gesture toward the submersible. The creature couldn't see our cameras, couldn't know we were there, but as the creature continuing its life exactly as it had before we arrived, exactly as it will after we leave. It was reaching for another creature in the dark, or marking territory, or singing, we don't know. The light was never for us. The light was disclosure because we finally got small enough, desperate enough to be let into the conversation. That's the thing that reframes everything about this discovery. We didn't find a new species. We weren't the finders. We were the witnesses to a life so complete, so established in its own world that calling it new is almost an insult to its antiquity. This creature has been alive in the dark for longer than human civilization has kept written records. Longer. It has hunted the same prey perhaps for 100,000 years. It has mated and raised offspring and died in darkness so complete that our brains can't construct the visual experience of it. And we arrived 3,000 meters down, crushing ourselves with pressure, burning through power to see in a world that never needed our light. And we did the thing humans always do. We looked, we filmed, we named what we saw and called it discovery. But the second argument lies in what we didn't capture, in the 4 seconds of held black before the creature's bioluminescence, in the moments the submersible's light swept past without illuminating the whole creature, because the whole creature doesn't matter to the abyss, and the abyss owes us nothing. The real discovery isn't the creature. It's the knowledge that there are entire ecosystems, entire languages of light and chemistry and pressure and time, unfolding in the dark oceans right now that we are only beginning to suspect exist. This 2026 finding isn't the first of these creatures. It's proof that the ocean has been keeping secrets so profound that every discovery is an apology for how little we actually understand about the world we live on. That's why this matters right now. We've spent the last 50 years convinced we've mapped the world. We have Google Earth, we have satellites, we have data. We built the narrative that the age of discovery ended when the globe got too small. But the ocean is proving something older than our maps. The world isn't smaller. We're just finally recognizing how much we were never looking at. How much was always there, waiting in the dark, pulsing its own light on its own schedule, and we were too blind, too surfaced to notice. The submersible is being prepared for another descent. The creature hasn't been given a permanent name yet. In the research community, they call it specimen 2026 Delta. In the dark at 3,000 meters, it doesn't have a name. It has a light. It has a life. It has the entire weight of an ocean's depth above it, and the indifference of a world that doesn't care if we ever see it again. And that perfect, total, cosmic indifference is exactly why we can't stop looking.